Renewing plans to curb junk food advertising, the government is showing signs of stepping up the fight against obesity. But the big challenge for our political leaders is how to apply the deeper lessons of the pandemic, that a real transformation of our nation's health will need fundamental changes in society. Dominic Hughes, BBC News, Sheffield.
Time now 7:35. So we are talking this morning about the new rules that have come into force this morning in England around face coverings.
Yes, they're compulsory, mandatory from today. As well, we're talking about the government's plans to expand the winter flu vaccination programme. We can talk now to the Care Minister, Helen Whately, who joins us from Westminster. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Helen Whately. So should we start with face masks today? How do you see this, as it's now mandatory in England to wear them? How do you see this being enforced?
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me on this morning. So as you just said, indeed, as of today, face masks are mandatory to wear in a shop, in a supermarket, in a takeaway. So you should put on a face mask before you go in and keep it on while you're in the shop. There are some who have exemptions, for instance, if you have a disability that makes it hard or impossible for you to wear a face mask. But we're expecting the vast majority of people to wear face masks. And in fact, as we've seen throughout the pandemic, the vast majority of the British public have followed the guidance, have taken the steps on lockdown, on restricting movement, on social distancing. We know that people are responsible and will play their own part in looking out for each other and protecting everybody from COVID.
So I'll ask again, how do you then see the minority who don't wear face masks, face coverings, how do you see that being enforced?
Well, what we will see is, as you see on public transport, for instance, where there are signs around encouraging you to wear a face mask, saying that you should be wearing one.
Okay, but there will be some
unless
people
you're
who
unable
ignore that.
to.
Helen Whately, there will be some people who ignore that. So how do you see it being enforced?
So we know that the vast majority of people do follow the rules, and there is the option for the police to be involved in enforcement and for there to be fines, but I really don't think we will need to go down that line because most people will follow the rules. People do take this very seriously. People don't want to see the COVID rate go up again. People know that by wearing a face mask, it's about protecting those around you, particularly the most vulnerable. It's about making sure we don't get increased rates of COVID, which might mean that we would have to put restrictions on again. We don't want that to happen. So we know that people actually will act responsibly and will wear face masks.
John Apter from the Police Federation of England and Wales, who's the national chair, was on this programme a short while ago, and he basically made clear that actually the police don't have the capacity to enforce this if people aren't wearing face coverings. Do you accept that that is the case?
Yeah, I'm not expecting the police to be called whenever somebody is not wearing a face mask. That clearly would be inappropriate. As I said, we know that the majority of people have throughout this followed the rules and will do so now. And what I should say as well is that the wearing of face coverings goes hand in hand with the other really important measures which must continue to be taken. So critical amongst these is social distancing, staying 2 metres away from others when you can. If it comes down to 1 metre, making sure you take mitigations, regularly washing your hands using hand sanitizer, following all the guidance so that we restrict our contacts, so we restrict our movements. This is all part of what we need to do as a society to keep COVID under control so we can get on with life as close to normal as possible so people can do the things that make life worth living.
The government wants around 15 million more people in England to receive flu jabs this year. Can you explain, if you have the vaccinations, but if you do have all the vaccinations, if supply will meet demand, and whether the systems are in place for those to be effectively administered?
So we're announcing what is the greatest flu vaccination programme in the UK's history. We're doing this because we know that we have a particularly challenging winter potentially ahead, and we don't want to be having to tackle flu hand in hand with COVID. Flu in its own right can be a serious illness, so we don't want people to have to go to hospital with flu or for instance to catch flu and COVID at once, which is why we're launching this really ambitious programme to vaccinate 30 million people. We're doing that, and we can do that because we've secured the stocks, and then we've set out that not only will the people who usually receive the flu vaccination, such as those who've been shielding, over 65s, health and social care workers, be eligible for free vaccinations, but we're going to be extending it to the over 50s and some other groups so that we have the widest possible coverage to put us in a good place for the winter ahead.
A magazine for GPs, which is called Pulse, said that manufacturers have said that they may not be able to provide flu vaccines being ordered for this winter, following an unprecedented surge in demand worldwide. They were quoting a spokesperson for GlaxoSmithKline, which is one of the flu vaccine providers, which said they expect demand to outpace manufacturing supply. So, are you not hearing that, or have you not heard that?
So I know we're not alone amongst countries around the world who are looking ahead and wanting to be prepared for the winter, and that means doing flu vaccination programmes. We've been preparing for this since early spring. The reason we can make this announcement is because we have secured the supply to be able to vaccinate 30 million people, and we want to make sure that the people who get the vaccination are those who are most at risk. So we vaccinate the right people so that we protect our society, protect our NHS from the flu.
We spoke to Dr. William Bird, who was one of the authors of this winter flu report, which was obviously commissioned by Sir Patrick Vallance and then considered by SAGE. He raised some concerns about whether or not there will be capacity to deliver these flu vaccines by GPs, taking in social distancing. Also the fact that there would be a lot of people who didn't take the flu jab, who were eligible in previous years, and so they're who are likely to want it this year because of the fear of COVID-19 as well. How are you going to help accommodate GPs to get the stocks you say you have to the people who need it?
So you're right, we want this year for everyone who's eligible to come forward and have the vaccination. In the past, there are some people who, even though they could get a free flu vaccination and might be recommended to get it, haven't come forward to get it. So we really, really want to make sure that people do come and get their flu vaccination. Yes, the programme will involve GPs, and as usual, for instance, in schools, that schools will be providing the vaccination. We are working through the delivery plan to make sure that we will be able to get the vaccination to all of those who should be having it, including, for instance, in the event that you might have extra restrictions in a local area. If any particular area of the country has got an outbreak, we need to make sure that even in that circumstances, people can get their vaccination.
Can we talk about care homes? You say that visits will resume in care homes once local authorities and public health directors say it is safe. What can you say to those relatives who are desperate to see their loved ones in these care homes? Can you give them a time frame?
So I'm well aware that people desperately want to see their family members who are in care homes, and it's been really hard with the last few months and the visiting restrictions that they haven't been able to do so in many cases. We are working with directors of public health across the country, and specifically have asked directors of public health to set the policy overall for their area and work with care homes in their area so that visiting is arranged safely. And I know that care homes are already working on this to make sure that they can arrange safe visits for their residents.
The government's going to announce, we understand, a ban on pre-watershed junk food advertisements as part of an anti-obesity drive. Is this in response to COVID-19? Of course, the Prime Minister has made comments himself about being vulnerable to COVID-19.
Well, I can't comment on the details of a leaked document, but what I can say is that we know absolutely obesity is one of the greatest, not the greatest, health challenge that we face as a country. Half of adults are overweight, 1 in 5 children leaving primary school are obese, and obesity brings with it a whole host of health challenges. And very particularly with COVID, you're at greater risk of getting COVID, greater risk of complications, greater risk, very sadly, of dying from COVID if you are overweight. So as it is such an important health challenge, we have to take it on. And the Prime Minister is committed to making sure that we tackle obesity and that we help people live healthy lives.
As Health and Social Care Minister, do you think it's a good idea to ban such adverts, such junk food adverts pre-watershed?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the specific details.
No, I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking if you think it's a good idea.
And there will be an announcement on this coming shortly. The Department of Health has been consulting on the best way to protect children, for instance, from the advertising of unhealthy food. And so it's absolutely right that the government is looking at what is the right way to help people make healthier choices, lose weight, stay a healthy weight, and look after ourselves.
So in that
lose weight, stay a healthy weight, and look after ourselves.
So in that effort to keep us healthy, when will you be making that announcement?
Well, I can say that there will be an announcement about it imminently.
Monday?
I'm not going to commit to a day or a date, but what I can say is the announcement was coming soon.
Helen Whately, Minister for Care, thank you.
Thank you.
Just coming up to 7:45, that's time for us to go to Mike with all the sports. So we've got a bit of Mike Tyson. We're going to talk about Olympics in just a moment. But I think you're starting with some cricket, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. The Olympics is back a year. It would have been the opening ceremony today. We're going to talk about something that is going on today. A big day ahead as well, the deciding test between the England and the West Indies.
Really excited. I'm gutted that we didn't get to film with you and train. But if you're fighting for fun, how would you have treated me?
Well, I'm sure we can have a rematch one time. I'll have to set it up.
I think you'd win,
I'll
Jade.
go
I think you'd win. But seriously, how are you keeping? How's it been for you, just generally, you know, in terms of emotion, mental health, in terms of like, you know, you would have been there. This is what you do.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. It has been tough, and you know, people think, oh, athletes are really mentally strong. So to be honest, myself, I didn't really think it would affect me, but I think athletes always have a goal, and you know, you wake up every day for that one thing, and you literally know, you know, why you're waking up and what you're going to training for. So to wake up and to think, you know, what am I doing, what competition, and still now, you know, we don't know when the next competition is. We're just kind of training and floating. So it's kind of felt like I've been retired a little bit, and yeah, no, it's been tough.
Jade, how is the training going here now? What are you allowed to do? And is it really non-stop from here until next summer now?
I hope not. No, training's kind of like slowly going back to normal, and the coach still has to wear a mask. And when we turn up to the centre, you know, we have to get our temperature checked, and there's all sorts of checks and procedures that we have to go through. And the trainers is in like littler groups as well. So normally it's the whole girls team together, whereas now it's like, I think, loads of little pods of like 6 different groups. But luckily, you know, the academy's back open, and we're going to a training camp as well next week in Croatia, where the cases are really low. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, well, good luck with that, and that's going to feel a little bit more like normal again, isn't it? Thanks, Jade. Lovely to see you, and for whetting our appetite of what we're missing and what we're going to see next summer. And Naga, a little tip, I've faced Jade's headshots quite a few times in the past, and being smaller helps, just duck.
Yes.
Yeah, some gold memories there. Let's speak to Jade. Hi, Jade is in Manchester for us this morning. How are you doing? I guess how frustrating is it?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
But yeah, how frustrating knowing, like all of us, you should have been there with the team right now, getting ready for the opening ceremony.
Yeah, I think especially seeing that video there, you know, it brings back all the feelings and the emotions, and it just makes it all seem real that, you know, I'm supposed to be going for my 3rd Olympic gold in literally a matter of a couple of days.
Absolutely. I think that's a great, absolutely. Thank you for showing me how to duck as well. I mean, yeah, and be quick. I'm also very good at running away, Mike. Yeah. So that works too, I find.
Run away.
Thanks, Mike. I think I had a lucky escape.
I think so too. It'll happen though. The rematch could yet happen. 7:52 the time right now.